Well, joining us now is the ambassador to Japan, Mr. Chinoy. Thanks very much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. This is a partnership that goes back a long way. Both sides have been trying to build on the momentum created by the camaraderie between Prime Minister Abe and Prime Minister Modi. If I would ask you to assess where things stand between 2014 and today, how much ground has been covered?
But I think you're very right in assessing that it's a partnership that goes back a long way. And when we say a long way, it really goes back centuries. We have celestial bridges of Buddhism, which have created friendship and deep cultural contact and understanding between the two countries. Ours is a values-based partnership. And in the contemporary period, in fact, this relationship and partnership has acquired fresh momentum as a result of the Prime Minister's visit in 2014. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Japan in 2014, his visit to Japan was the first to any country outside of our region. And I think that speaks volumes for the kind of priority we attach to our friendly relations, cooperative relations, mutually beneficial relations with Japan.
In terms of the economic partnership, the Commerce Minister who's here in Japan said that the CEPA hasn't fully been utilized by both sides. Why do you believe that's the case and what needs to be done?
I think we should leave CEPA to the experts from the Ministry of Commerce, and they will continue to discuss the nitty-gritty of CEPA. But the larger point here is that this is a partnership which is now clearly the most relevant one for us as we look ahead to realizing our developmental aspirations. And let it be said on record that Japan plays a very, very big role in all the transformation that's taking place in India today. Japanese investments are very large and substantive and growing at a very rapid pace. You're aware that cumulative investments are now in excess of 25 billion US dollars. And if we discount the fact that we have Mauritius and Singapore as windows for third country investments into India, then Japan clearly is right at the top in terms of the flow of FDI into India. In the first 9 months of financial year 2016-17 alone, we have crossed a figure of 4.2 billion US dollars. And the number of Japanese companies in India has also increased now to more than 1,300. I think the figure is 1,305 companies. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There is great confidence in the Indian economy. The fact that the Indian economy is a bright spot in the global economy at a time when the regional and global economies of the world, the traditional engines of growth, continue to face headwinds. India, under Prime Minister Modi, is actually doing very well. And this is something that greatly attracts the Japanese investor who is looking to diversify his portfolio to create alternatives in terms of the landscape where they wish to put their technology and capital.
As part of the economic partnership, Japan is committed to 3.5 billion yen over the next 5 years. A large chunk of that will be on account of the high-speed railway project as well. But when you talk to investors, how confident do they feel about not just incremental investments, but making fresh investments in other areas outside of the traditional ones where they've invested in auto, manufacturing? India's opened up foreign direct investment practically across the board in all sectors. Are they now willing to put their money in newer sectors like food processing, retail, for instance?
Well, let me say at the outset that the current ongoing visit of the Commerce and Industry Minister of India, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, is of extraordinary significance and relevance to this unfolding process of deeper economic engagement between India and Japan. And you're right that the Japanese investor has traditionally looked to India to start with in the automotive sector. We all know the story of Maruti Suzuki and how it started more than 30 years ago and how it went on to become a household name, not just in India, but also in Japan as a success story. But today, India is a very different country. We have a very open economy. The regulatory framework is being constantly improved. We have taken a large number of decisions to instill greater confidence in the overseas investor. And we find that there are many companies that are now looking to invest in, for instance, e-business and internet startups. Close to $2 billion has flowed into the internet startups alone. Companies like SoftBank are hugely optimistic on the India story. And there are other areas as well, digital technologies, for instance. The energy sector is huge. Electronics is huge. There are a number of sectors, therefore, in the field of ports, railways, roads, and so on and so forth. The sky's the limit, frankly, because Japan is looking to a strategy of risk mitigation, broad-basing its portfolio and investments. And India offers an alternative which is second to none. India offers an alternative which is scalable. It is an alternative which is known for the 3Ds, which is democracy, the demographic dividend, and the fact that we have a huge sort of domestic market as well. That, in fact, is something that greatly attracts the Japanese. We also offer India as a very large manufacturing hub for exports from India, not only to the region, but to the rest of the world. In fact, companies have started manufacturing in India to export their goods and products back to Japan. Again, I would cite the example of Suzuki, which has begun to manufacture the Baleno, and I think one more motorcycle as well for the Japanese market. That speaks volumes for Japanese technology, innovation, manufacturing process, but not in isolation. Equally, it speaks volumes for that formidable combination that comes about as a result of our own, not too inconsiderable innovative capacities, the fact that we have rich human resources, the fact that Indians are known for out-of-box thinking. And so we bring something to the table as well that is of great benefit and attraction to the foreign investor.